And I think the shoot far, shoot fast matches, it's like a lot of times people, say like, oh, it's a quantified match. Well, it's one specific type of match we run because it fits with where we need it to go. So the shoot far, shoot fast matches, which is, our gas gun, drag races, those skill sets are universal rifleman stuff. Like if you want to consider yourself like a shooter, like a rifleman, and like a good American, that can stand up and do your job, that is proven there. That will be learned there. You will find your deficiencies and faults. You will find where you are good and where you can, cruise for a little bit. It is the most direct application of how to use a rifle at beyond pistol distances, which is super popular and super cool for a long time, but is grossly overlooked what you get out of that gun. And it will change you. I mean, the level of competition that we are seeing now is significantly different than in the beginning, where somebody that...
So welcome to the Big Tex Ordnance Podcast. This is Ike. We have Ian here, and we have Ash Hess and Jack Leuba from Quantified Performance. We'll just jump right into it. Do you want to tell us what is QP? How did y'all get started, and kind of what's going on over there?
Okay. So, I mean, really to start with this, when I started at Knights, like 6 years ago, first thing Jack says to me is, we're going to go shoot these matches, right? And I came from, I did a lot of shooting, did a lot of instructing, all that sort of stuff. It was all like CQB, Army, murder, death, kill stuff, right? Never was a sniper, never claimed to be a sniper, didn't do this stuff. So he's like, hey, we're going to go shoot these PRS Gas Gun matches. And I'm like, all right, cool. What the fuck is that, right? And so he's like, here's this optic, here's these things, and we go out. That was the second year, because you shot 17.
Yeah, I shot 17.
Yeah, and then I shot 18. Well, at the end of 18, a couple of things that I saw at the end of that season. One, they were trying to sell tickets to Finale. And this was PRS that was running it. And PRS did an outstanding job with gas gun. It just didn't take off, right? It's just a product that didn't.
I mean, I think it's worth talking about of what that was, at the time as a deviation. So like PRS in its traditional sense is a fixed time limit stage where it doesn't matter where you end in your time. It's just how many points do you get, generally single shot per target, generally 10 round stages, 8 to 12 round stages, very, very common. And it's really oriented towards precision bolt action guns. It's a lot of barricade stuff, positioning the gun, it's positional work, and then it's an environmental wind game. That's really where that works out. Well, PRS was taken over, not taken over, but Sean Wiseman became involved, and he started the gas gun series. And it's one of the coolest things he did, because that's really what spawned this, and that it was a time-based event. Heavy penalties for not hitting a target, but it wasn't all just one shot, one attempt per target. But your winning time was based off of your overall time, or your winning score is based on your overall time. They had a little bit of things going on with the scoring through there, but it was that you need to hit this target, you need to do it fast, and you are racing against other people. It's not just points accumulation, it's a race. Mm-hmm. And that really kind of appealed to me. I was a USPSA shooter, did the whole 2-gun, 3-gun stuff, so I really liked, that aspect of it, but then applying that to a precision sense. But then, so I shot that in 2017, the year it came out. I was pretty stoked about it. 2018, Ash had come on, and so like you said, I kind of handed him a gun and was like, I had to figure this out, so let's see what you can figure out.
And it was completely out of my wheelhouse, right? Because like I said, I never did any of that sniper stuff, and and never even wanted to, right? It was just 300 yards, that I was happy, right? That's where I did all my stuff. But throughout that 18, I started enjoying it. Because I started learning wind and started learning other things, and I was mediocre at best. One of the matches I did really good on 10 stages, 20 stage matches. Did really good on 10 stages and really sucked on 10 stages. So I ended up mid-pack, right? So mediocre at best, but I enjoyed it. The other thing that I was looking for is, and if somebody goes through, they want to know the whole story, go watch the Knights Armament podcast whenever that drops, because I talked a bit about more in that. But I did a lot of stuff with the Army, but I'd left the Army. And I didn't want to be that veteran that was just like, hey, I'm this guy because, but as soon as I walked out the door, and I walked into being military sales at Knights Armament, but as soon as I walked out the door, I wasn't the Army guru guy anymore. Like the sentences I was typing in the Army before I left were changing an entire Army, right? But as soon as I raised my hand and tapped out, I wasn't that dude anymore. So I was looking for something to keep relevant in the shooting community without being a firearms instructor, without doing all that sort of stuff, just be relevant. But then as the finale was coming up, people weren't signing up. And they're like, we need to get signups for it. And the other thing that I saw, because I was hitting up a whole bunch because they were having it at Altus. Yeah, it was at Altus. So I had a bunch of people in Georgia that were shooters, and I had a bunch of people everywhere. And everybody was like, well, hey, I got this gun that's got a 1-6 on it. Am I going to be okay? And I'm like, no, bro. No. It's just that's not what we do here.
Yeah.
Well, I got a 16-inch with a red dot and a magnifier on it. Can I shoot it? I'm like, yeah, you can shoot it, man, but you're not going to have a good day.
Yeah.
So that was one of the things I noticed was having to, I got lucky, and I had an attacker 4-16, and I had an LPR, and I had these things, and I just had to feed it ammo that to get. If you wanted to go shoot this thing, you're looking at Night Force money. You're looking at all these things to be competitive in it. So the finale didn't sell. They canceled the finale. And without the finale, they just kind of were, usually after they have the finale, there's like this person finished first and this person finished. There's all the propaganda that goes with that, right? Marketing materials. But since we didn't have the finale, we didn't have that. And it was it was cool, but none of the stuff, like I can't go look back and see, where I stood in the 2018 season because it didn't post anywhere. It was just, we're just not doing this anymore. So a few months later, they killed it. They said, hey, we're not running gas gun next year, all this sort of stuff. PRS washed their hands of it.
Well, they wrapped it in, so there is a gas gun division in PRS,
yeah.
Which is great, for people that want to shoot a PRS competition with their gas gun, which is awesome, but not universally appealing.
Yeah.
So we're up at Arena Training Facility, talking to Eddie Nolan there. And if you guys haven't been out to Arena yet, you need to come out when we're there, like finale or something. Come out and check that place out. But Eddie Nolan, old Ranger, was a battalion sergeant major with the regiment. Spent like most of his career there. And we were talking to him about that there was going to be no gas gun, that we were going to be shooting next year. Didn't know what kind of shooting we were going to do, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, well, I got a range out there. And stop being a pussy and run your own. And we were kind of like, okay. So, I mean, because, when a dude like Eddie with his background, when he's just like, hey, dumbass, you're just like, okay, so you take it into consideration. So then we started, and it was going to be we just started calling this thing it started out as the Jack and Ash match.
Yeah, we didn't like that one.
And then like 20 seconds later, we realized that Jack Ash.
Yeah.
That's it. That wasn't what we were trying to do. But we got with Eddie, had to learn a bunch of things like insurance and all this sort of stuff. But we ran our first match, and it was the Ash and Jack day in the arena, and we had 60 people sign up for it, and it was a fun match. But it was definitely our first match, right? we learned a bunch of things. One of the things that saved that match was we had Don Trump Jr. was on ground at Arena getting delivery of a gun.
Oh.
He just happened to be there. So Eddie went and asked him if he would talk to the people that just shot this match, just say a few words to him or whatever while we were waiting for scoring. And so we had, our first match ever. We get to say that we had Don Trump Jr. speaking to the competitor.
Keynote address.
Right. Yeah. But then we kind of went from there, and we were like, "Hey, that was fun. That worked kind of good." So then we decided to turn it into a company. It took us 16 hours continuous driving to name the thing.
I was asleep when he came up with the name, by the way.
Yeah,
he nailed it.
And he was driving. He was driving and asleep, but the name came from it, and we lived. So, we were just doing 2 matches a year. Like the first couple of years, we're just doing like 2 matches a year. And what we did, because we were just having 1 days, and what we did, and we're bringing this back. This was something that's coming back in a bunch of venues. What we did was Sunday, rather than taking down all the stages Saturday night, we'd shoot on Saturday. And Sunday we turned it into basically an open range day. Ah. So all the stages were still there, and we put the shot timers back out, and we did all the sort of things. And we had AMU guys that were coming around, Scott Peterson, Tyler Payne. Those guys that shot gas gun with us So they were hanging around on Sunday. So you came to the match and you had no idea what you were doing, and you get your ass whooped all day Saturday, and you get up on Sunday, and then you're like, "What is this bag?" And then the AMU guy, like championship level shooter, is like, "Well, here's what you do with this bag," and you're just like, "This is cool," and you wait for the next one. So we made a lot of traction in that, and then as we got traction, we had people shooting. Then they were asking for things, and we're trying to address those things, and that's just kind of what we've been doing for the past. We've been going since 2019 officially as Quantified, and just what we've been doing. We're in 24 season now, and we've just been trying to, as people go, "Hey, Ash," because everybody loves Jack, right? And nobody tells Jack anything that's fucked up about Quantified Performance unless it's about me, right? And that's just the way it goes. So we're just like, "Hey, this is messed up. This and this and this," and we're like, "Okay." So we sit down and we go, "This is the list of complaints that we got. What is things that we can change on this? We can't make it cooler in Georgia. We can't make it, these things. What can we change on these things?" And it's just been running a match, learning, running a match, learning, running a match, learning. One of my favorite parts about it is last year's finale, and Big Tex is part of this, and you guys been at least observing and been part of the thing. Finale last year, we had $70,000 worth of prizes that were on the table.
Wow.
And for dudes to go to a match, right? And throughout this, we'll get into all the stuff that we've done, but to have a match that's open enrollment that you can sign up for. And it's too expensive at $250, but you can sign up, and we had 65 shooters. So yes, it doesn't math that way that the average prize was $1,000, but basically the average prize was $1,000.
Yeah.
Right. Of course, the guys that at the top, they got to pick what they wanted, right? So they got something more than $1,000, but prize table is solid, and that's all sponsors. But that's just super cool that we got to that spot with what we were doing with this Jackass match that was in, I think that was in the spring of 19.
Yeah,
spring of 19 is when we did that. And it's just been growing. We went from 2 matches a year, and this year, by the time that we get done, I think we're gonna have either 27 or maybe 30 events happening all the way from West Virginia all the way down into Florida, getting into Arkansas, hitting Iowa, getting Texas on the board. They're working on a schedule in Texas right now, up San Antonio area.
Okay.
And then Arizona, and we've had 1 or 2 that happens out here in Vegas. They do it occasionally. It's just been, some people care, some people don't. So they run this match regardless. Sometimes they run it under quantified rules, sometimes they don't. It's just there's not enough people out here, and we don't have the reach out west to make it super cool. Whereas on the East Coast, and then I'll hand it over to Jack a little bit to talk about what he sees for Quantified. But basically, right now we can confidently say that we're the biggest and strongest gas gun in the Southeast. That's not my, because I do most of the running on Quantified. That's not my goal. The Southeast is cool, right? And I like that, and I'm saying that on the podcast. But I want everything, right? It's just I want to be bigger than the Southeast. That's why Iowa, Oklahoma we're looking at. We attempted the Colorado one, but the reach that I have in Colorado, even though I kind of grew up there, but none of the people that I talk to shoot guns. So Colorado dude was going to run it. And there was like two people sign up.
Yeah,
one was a buddy of yours.
There was also like a weird thing, out there. It was at Cameo, and they had something weird pop up where they're like magazine restriction, enforcement. People got weird about it. So signups are weird, and unfortunately we weren't able to execute that match. It sucks because I hear it's a phenomenal facility out there to be able to use. But yeah, I mean, I think when it comes to Quantified, the best and most challenging thing in it is the divisions. and why we set those divisions up. And we got hit up quite a few times of, people wanting to have a caliber cap or caliber restriction inside the divisions. And we have very specifically not wanted to do that because we're looking at this from a different side than a, PRS type match where, like, if you're not shooting a 6mm projectile at 2850 to, 2950, you're not competitive. This is like it's division based, of you got your LPVO guys, you've got your general like practical guys, and then the open divisions, and allowing people to play inside of those where I'm giving you a weight and a size and a magazine capacity that you're going to go up against, and then in the general purpose and a magnification cap. Let you see what you can really do with that size of a gun. That's really what it's about. And, letting people play with these different calibers and see where they go. It's like, yeah, we do have some guys that are doing really well, using 6-ARC, or using 6.5 or using something else inside of that. And it's not to say that 7.62 or 5.56 is better than those, but having an established gun that works very reliably sometimes outweighs having something that might be a little bit of a ballistic advantage, but it's not PRS where every target is going to be, at 600 to 1200. You're talking about stages, that are, inside 200, that are 100 to 200 yard stages where having a 5.56 gun that's light and easy to move around is an advantage, that you're going to have over a guy maybe shooting a 7.62 gun or, shooting a 6-ARC where do you really need to put that much, ballistic performance into that stage. And getting that concept of, it's more like, drag races, and like divisions of drag races where you're competing against, people that have a very, very similar setup, where you're just going for speed. How fast can I do this? And there are technical stages. There are things about it where you need to be good at doing all those traditional things of, reading the wind and understanding what that's going to be, or having a round limited stage, where, you might have wanted that, other caliber for that stage. But was that really the reason why you lost that match? And generally, if you look at it, like the problem wasn't that you weren't hitting 1,200 yard targets, and that's why you didn't come in first. It's
there was one 1,200 yard target on there. You didn't hit it. You lost by 540 seconds. Your penalty for missing that 1,200 yard target was only 30 seconds of that 500 seconds that you lost by, right? But you need a 6 to get that 1,200 yard target because that'll change your match. And that's what Jack was talking about was, one, we wanted that general purpose division to where you could pull that gun out of the safe that had the low power and be competitive in that division.
Yeah.
Right? You have to be very specific when I'm saying that. In the division.
Not
right?
open.
I'm looking right at the camera. I'm talking to you. But because everybody in that division is shooting a 16-inch gun with a 1 to whatever on it, right? And it is 1 point. It has to be below 1.5, which your bottom end goes to. Everybody's got that restriction, right? So low power variable optics, they're not designed for shooting 1,200 yard targets, right? And you got a Vortex 1 to 10, and you got 10 power, and you can see out there. But then the reticle's like trying to look through that tripod that's over there.
Yeah.
Right? It's hiding the target. But everybody's shooting under that, right? So I can have whatever 6 Wonderbread. If I don't have the reticle to be able to see the target, I'm not going to get the hit, right? So they can be competitive with that 5.56 gun that they just happened to build for something else, right? They were watching primary and secondary, and they built a 16-inch primary and secondary gun, and that's cool. They can come into general purpose and be competitive inside that division. But then if they have a dedicated PRS gas gun rig that they haven't shot PRS since 2018, and they've got something that's got 4 to 16 on it, but they got a 22-inch, and they bought a 22-inch Creedmoor upper, then they can go into open. And then now they're competitive with the open guys because there's some huge advantages over there. But then over 8 stages, and specifically over a 16-stage match like finale, but over 8 stages, there's going to be a stage no matter what division you're in. There's going to be a stage and you're just like, I'm so happy that I shot this division.
Yeah.
And then there's going to be a stage that you're not happy that you shot that division, right? One of the stages that's a love-hate stage came from a guy that's out here in Nevada, Jeremy Ty, and they do it out here a lot at the Desert Sportsman's Range, and basically it's a limited stage, so you got 3 rounds, and that's all you get to shoot in this position, and they do it standing, kneeling, sitting, and prone, and it's at a 300-yard target. And when you press the trigger, It's either hit or miss. There's no making it up or anything like that. So the staying in it, but no bags, no bipods. It's all unsupported.
Yeah.
Right. You can use a sling and that typical stuff. But man, people will either love that stage
or they cuss
hate
out
it,
QP.
Right?
Oh yeah.
So when I show up there unpracticed, right? Because it doesn't seem to affect the AMU guys as much. It's called a hint. Yeah. Unpracticed, you show up with your 22-inch suppressed, with your 7-35 and your 6.5 Creedmoor gun, and you got the weights on it, and you got the heavy stock, and you got all this sort of stuff, and then you have to shoot a measly 300-yard target unsupported. You're sad panda,
yeah.
Right?
You're sad.
And then another stage, but then when your closest target is 856 yards, and you've got that cool, nice 13.7, with the lightest mount on there,
with the 1-6,
1-6 on there.
Sweet ACOG.
ACOG. I brought my magnifier out for my red dot, and your closest target is 856 for that stage. Now you're super mad that you're
on the
shooting.
struggle bus.
Yeah. And then you're mad you're shooting GP, right? But what it allows it to do is each match, until we started the championship series, and we'll talk about that in a minute, but each match, you could shoot at something different, right? And say me and you was running around and we did door kicking and all of our sort of stuff. We spent all of our rifle shooting in a pistol bay, and that's what we loved. Then we shoot the quantified match, and you're just like, man, I had so much fun doing wind, and I looked through reticle on the AMU guys gun, and that was so cool. And I'm not trying to be a sniper, but I really like shooting at distance. And then
that just turned off.
Yeah. Here, keep going.
Pause. Oh, keep going. All right, keep going. Then I figured out that I like doing that distance shooting, and I can build a gun for open, right? Just whatever I can do, or I can do practical. And that was just really what we tried to hit hard with the divisions. And like Jack said, we had a group of shooters leave Quantified Performance. They don't play anymore because they wanted caliber restrictions, and we wouldn't give them caliber restrictions. And one of the reasons why we didn't do that is we work at Knight's Armament. We're around all these programs, right? So we get to watch quantifiable data on 6 ARC, 6 Wonderbread, 6 Hayes, 6 whatever. We get to see these guys under these conditions shooting these calibers. And so that's like not a test bed for us. It's just that's data points that we have coming in. So we don't, and it's a problem set. It's targets in between 100 and up to 856 yards, or even up to 1,000. We've had matches at 1,000. That's your problem. You have to hit these targets, right? So what's the best thing? Everybody's like, oh, what's the best? The internet's always about, what's the best thing? And you're just like, what's the best thing to be able to hit targets from in those ranges? 3 MOA targets is generally what we use. So what is the best option for that? Is it 5.56? Is it 6 Wonderbread? Is it whatever these things? And we got to watch people solve this problem. Rather than restricting you with the division, just like, hey, this division is 5.56 only, that's what we're going to do. That cuts away answering that, having those answers to those problems, because we talk to dudes that are just like, hey, man, what do you think of 6 ARC? Or what do you think of this? And they're not just asking us, they're asking everybody else, but they're forming a requirement that's going to be spending a lot of money based off of that data. So one of the things that Quantified provides us as, here's what these dudes are doing with that caliber. Here's the problems that they're having, right? And then Sons of Liberty started talking about 6 Max because they were seeing what was going on with 6 ARC, and they started working with those dudes over at 6 Max, which was super cool. And they're like, hey, can we bring out this thing? And we're good friends with Lloyd over there at Sons of Liberty.
Yeah.
So if you stop by Sons of Liberty, make sure you tell Lloyd that Ash had a rude hand gesture to pass on there. But Lloyd was like, hey, I'm going to bring the 6 Max gun. And I'm like, okay, cool. Let's see what this 6 Max does, right? And so Sons of Liberty used it as that test bed. Like 6 Max, Lloyd was shooting 6 Max like in the spring of last year. And they didn't start talking about it until like 6 months after that.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it wasn't a thing, but 6 Max was at Quantified matches early, and that's what we wanted. And that's why we don't do calibers on there. Plus, like I was talking about, it doesn't matter.
I mean, I think it's the other thing of like, what would be your line for restricting a caliber? You're like, oh, I want it to be in-service ammo. Cool. Sure. Well, 6 ARCs in service, 6 5s in service, 2 60s in service. So what do you want to limit it at? Like, do you want to say, well, you can't shoot a 5.45, you can't shoot this? Like, why? Like it becomes that point of you get in that area of like you're just making this up for a specific. There's an intent of the competitor for that, and it's not our intent. Our intent is what solves this problem for you.
Yeah, if you want to run around with a 50 BMG all day, like. You'll probably hit your targets, but it's going to be a heavy motherfucker.
Yeah. By all means, stand up, shoot this 300 Win Mag bolt gun at this target, and win.
Was it shoot fast, shoot far?
Yeah, shoot fast, shoot far. And then, so that's what we wanted from the divisions. We wanted these things, and that's why we didn't, and I did offer to do a 7.62 and 5.56 division. Nobody took me up on it because I was like, if we're going to go back to Vietnam, we're going to shoot it Vietnam style, 20-inch barrel on your 5.56, 22-inch barrel or whatever an M14 was, iron sights, and a 20-round mag capacity. Nobody wanted to play that game.
Yeah, somebody's going to write in, and they're going to totally sign up for that. Now you have to make your other divisions.
14.
Yeah. It's happened like twice.
Nice.
M14 is my favorite. So as we started bringing these other matches on, because we went from 2 matches a year, and then we had 7, and then we had... I think we had 25 on the calendar last year, 25. I think 24 actually happened off the top of my head. When we went to these massive amount of matches, we decided to tie a series to it. Just because people were going to shoot these matches. Not to get people to shoot more matches. People were coming to shoot the match. So, hey, let me talk about, let me gather these points. Let's turn it into a thing. And as we get bigger, then it's become that much more of a title onto it. That was a learning curve. I've never run a championship series before. It's not for the faint or weak-hearted. Preferably be somebody that's smarter than me.
I think we're hiring for that position, actually.
Yeah. I've made it harder than it really needed to be. But so Scott Peterson, a guy named Ethan George, and a guy named Dan Goodwin won the first. Dan Goodwin was the first GP champion. Scott Peterson's done practical twice now. And then Ethan got open, and which was a testament to make sure your gun runs. Doesn't matter what caliber it is. If your gun doesn't run, you're not walking away with a championship. That is locked in stone and quantifiable. But Ethan was a tough competitor, and he was racing against Tyler Payne, and at the end of the day, Ethan walked away with the belt, and that's what we designed it to do, right? And so then this past year's a little bit interesting, is every shooter that walked away with the belt this year was a Sons of Liberty shooter, right? Sons of Liberty owned all the entire podium was all Sons of Liberty shooters. So that was pretty cool, but that was seeing the value of Quantified from Mike and Kyle and what they saw and leveraging that and getting those guns, and that's where that sponsor stuff comes in. And so the championship's pretty well settled on how it's running now. This year we did drop it. We did add to 4 matches, so it was your top 4 matches, and then the finale points added together. As the calendar got to headed towards 30 events, getting 4 matches at each venue wasn't like achievable.
Yeah.
Right. And then, so what we want to have is we want to have a match happening within 3 hours of everyone. That's the goal. Because I'm only going to ask you to go travel 1 time a year, more than 3 hours, and that's for the finale.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to come to the finale, that's fine. That's where all the prizes are. But having matches, because we have people shooting, the things, and just shooting the matches, and it's locally, and it's super cool. And it's super fun because everybody's like, I'm not traveling more than 3 hours for a 1-day match. Cool, man. I'm bringing the matches to you.
Yeah.
Right? And we're trying to get it more.
Well, I mean, the big thing is finding people in those areas that want to run these matches and shoot these matches. Mm-hmm. It's like we did it for, 2 a year because that was our base. That's what we knew there was. As we get this interest expressed outside of that, like we need people to do it. Like we need people to shoot, we need people to spot, we need people to run the match, we need match directors. So these things coming together, and that's really where you're seeing the spread of people picking it up and like they're carrying the torch. It's like every individual area is coming up with their own way they run this match. Then we implemented some kind of controls to make sure that you're not going to have somebody be unprepared when they come into the finale. But that's also kind of the idea of behind a good match director and a good match is that it prepares you to succeed at the finale. Maybe not necessarily that saying that, hey, my shooter's going to win this, because I'm such a good match director, but that I know the skills are going to be required for these guys to do well at these matches. Like I understand the positions, I understand the speed, I understand these elements of that target, where it's either not too generous or not too restrictive, so that it allows people to get in that race and to understand the divisions on why it's set up that way.
Yeah, and that's what we've been going towards. We got a bunch of match directors that are signed on. We've been all those other matches until last year. All those other matches we ran. It was us setting them up. And then now last year we brought on Mike Lewis, and he's got Virginia and stuff like that. Bringing on dudes in West Virginia. We got a guy that's taking over the Georgia stuff, and then Lloyd's going to be running the Texas stuff, and then nice. We picked up some dudes that are running the Arizona stuff, right? So I don't need to be there, and we reserved the finale. We're always going to run the finale, and then that's just where we are because we've got all the other things. I mean, you're an entrepreneur and a business owner, and there's a whole bunch selling cool stuff. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's an iceberg statement, and you're seeing this much of it, and the rest is enough to sink the Titanic. That's below it, right? So, yes, running the matches is cool, but we need to be running the company because now we're 12 months a year. With Arizona, there's quantified happening 12 months out of the year.
Oh, wow.
So, it was, 2 months, 2 weekends a year, and now there's multiple matches happening per month. And then I just want to hit on the shooting's great. What the shooting is everybody talk about patrol rifle and all that sort of stuff, and the shooting that the competitors are making you be able to do, right? Because we throw targets out there and we throw the prop, and that's cool, right? And if everybody around you is unpracticed and they shoot that stage in 88 seconds, that's super cool. And then the AMU guy rolls in and shoots it in 28 seconds, right? And you're just like, what the? So that's the. But now the first couple matches, the AMU guys weren't even, because I talked to Tyler and talked to Scott about, what percentage are you running? How much throttle are you putting into this, right? And the first matches, they were just like less effort than a training session, right? I mean, they're championship level shooters, and it's dudes that live down the street from arena training facility that are at the match. So that was kind of expected. And now they're working, right? And then now they're having to be, at race pace, and they're still towards the top, but that's their job.
Yeah.
Right. They're still towards the top or at the top, but they're not able to just show up and cruise. They're actually having to do work now, and that's the people that are shooting at the competitors, the Mike Russos that just like to shoot, that are walking away with championships because Mike picked it up. Mike Russo, Scott Peterson, and then Keith, and his last name,
Steffens.
Steffens, yes, it was there and it popped away. But Mike and Keith they're not AMU competitors. They haven't done other things. The most effort, they've shot some PRS and they've shot some other stuff, but their most effort has gone into quantified. And in that 4-year period, not only did they go from just shooting guns to have fun to sponsored shooters that won a championship, right? And that's the other thing that we want to do, and that's where the sponsors come in. And that's where Vortex and Night Force and you guys and the stuff that you're coming in, that turns that into something that somebody wants to do, right? Shooting with Ash and shooting with Jack, that's cool, right? But that only goes so far, right? But when you can put this year, like I think Mike Russo walked away without the sponsorship, just in the prizes that I know that he grabbed. Let's just say it was $3,000 worth of prizes.
If you're in the IRS, you're not allowed to watch this part.
Yeah.
And just say that's just what I remember that he took, right? It could have been $30 worth.
It was probably about 30.
Yeah.
Just some sticker packs.
Yeah.
One or
It was
two.
a bunch of stickers.
Yeah.
But to be able to put that investment into shooting the matches and being able to start recouping that, and then you start talking about sponsored shooters, right? And to where my investment is not as much out of pocket. I mean, and just to have built something that's like that's doing that people are talking about. You heard about it on some podcast the other day. That people are talking about, and just have been built that from shooting a silly little match, in Georgia, because the guy that runs it was a Ranger dude that called you a pussy, and then, just to have that, that's just super cool to me, and I haven't made all the right decisions. Have apparently made a couple that have been good, and and it's just rolling good, and we're just trying to get it better. We've got more sponsors coming on. We're talking to target companies. Caldwell, I don't know if you guys are a dealer for Caldwell or not. I haven't been paying attention, but Caldwell came out with their flashbang, and that thing is worth its weight in gold. And so whoever at Caldwell, if you happen to see this, good job. I'm going to order more. But we're getting steel lined up. We've got these target flashers from Caldwell that's getting lined up, and we're working with Vortex, and we're working with other companies. Right now, Collis and what's the Collis and I'm terrible.
I don't know which direction you're going on that one. Are you saying random names?
For the spot and scope, Sparrow.
Oh, nice.
They've been supporting for 3 years. And you can edit that however you need to. You
just
can
keep it.
Just be like a retard. Just be like, hey.
They're not editing any of this.
It's
yeah,
Vegas.
we're keeping it all.
It's Vegas.
I sound like an idiot all the time on here, so it's okay.
What happens here gets spread across the internet.
Yeah, everywhere.
It's perfect.
Double shared. But they're supporting with like spotting scopes, and we're trying to do those things because just you guys can't see what's going on over here, but there's a really good tripod over here from Vortex, and there's a not a really good tripod over here.
Which is funny, man, because Manfrotto used to be like the tripod to have, I mean, not that one, but yeah.
Now we started Quantified Performance with a terrible website that just got updated like today, so go check that out. And Amazon tripods, just like that one. And Vortex cut us a deal. They're like, we don't know who you are, but we'll sell you, we'll sell you spot and scopes at 50% off.
Oh wow!
And that it was, Amazon was our jam because we were finding us over shot timers, like 13 different types of shot timers. We needed 8 shot timers. We got 2 here, 2 of this, 2 of this, 2 of this, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, the moral of that story is if you want to set up one of these matches, if you want to match direct it, if you want to bring it to your area, like we can help you with that. This isn't like we're not throwing you to the wolves here of like figure it out, like I did to him, because I learned that's not always the best way to do something. But it's like because it can be a heavy financial investment, to get that many tripod. I mean, like a good tripod is not cheap. Good spotting scopes are not cheap. Getting people that can spot it are hard to get. So, we want to reduce that amount of burden that comes to you. So we can set up a target package. We can set you up with, target packages soon. But as far as like spotters and tablets and all the things to do the scoring to run it properly, that we know how to do that, and we can help you get a match up and running pretty quickly.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, if you're running a quantified performance match, and you take the time to work with us on the schedule, we've got a Pelican cases of stuff. We send out the come with tripods, come with spotting scopes of one or two different brands, tablets, and then one of the Caldwell flashers that I already talked about. But like one of the most important things that's coming with it is shot timers. And Big Tex Outdoors, I don't know if you guys have heard of them or not, but they provided Quantified with 8 of the new Kestrel timers, and we had those like super early, like people hadn't even seen them for real yet. And we're catching those things, and that has been like of the things that I can look back and been like, what is the huge thing, And you guys putting us on those timers solved us all kinds of problems.
Yeah, so all you guys at home should immediately get on the internet and order those shot timers from Big Tex because
but that's the industry support that we have had, and we're not special. You guys do that for other people. Vortex does that for other people. Vortex does more for other people. Swiro and Collis do that for other people, right? But I know exactly what all of that stuff is done, right? And I can see that, and that's one of the things that we wanted, and our little, and this has been said and changed and going away and whatever. But Jack and I are in the industry. We're at Knights Armament, so we see it from that side, and we have those connections. Mm-hmm. We're both also competitors, and we're over here. So what we're trying to do is use that to make this better and use these competitors to help companies do what they need to do, right? You guys to have somebody, with putting Big Tex at every match, whether that's stickers on it, for the sponsor support or, sponsor shooters, things like that. Hey, what's the best gun? Well, this gun over here from Sons of Liberty or Knights Armament, that's the other thing we got to talk about. But what's the best gun? Okay, under what conditions?
Yeah.
Oh, you want to talk about quantified performance? Well, here's some good examples of what the best guns are, right? And so we can leverage that on the industry side, and we can also leverage that on the competitor side. And that's one of the things that I didn't see, right? And I've only been around the competitive space since 2018, whatever. But it was either you got something like the Glock pistol stuff, where it's run by Glock, and it's Glock, and Glock highly supports that, and they're giving away Glocks, and they're like, if you show up and you inhale and you exhale twice, you get a Glock, that sort of thing, and it's all Glock. And yes, the competitors are taken care of in that, but Glock isn't running around talking about who's winning these Glock matches. They're just talking about how they ran this Glock match, and the Glock shooting, So it's all about Glock, which is fine, right? Because the competitors that are showing up to that are getting taken care of by Glock, right? That's cool. But then you have these other things where the equipment almost doesn't matter, and it's not talked about. So that's good for the competitors because we're talking about what Jack did or what Tyler Payne did and whatever, but we never talk about the manufacturers that supported that. So what we wanted to end up with was something that had a happy mix, where the industry was just as happy with it as the competitors were just as happy with it. And I think we ended up fairly close on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's like we get hit up all the time, to be sponsors for things, and it's always that like, well, what am I getting out of this? Is it just an advertising, a marketing thing, or am I like trying to find somebody to do a thing? Like, what's that mean? Coming from the night space is one thing, but then I was a competitive shooter also, in pistol side, USPSA, and like I said, 2-gun and 3-gun stuff. It's like there's guys that are like, oh well, I want to be a sponsored shooter. Like, okay, cool. Well, what are you gonna do? Oh, I'm gonna go shoot matches. Like, oh, okay, is that it?
What are you doing for us?
Yeah, so it's like how, and then getting those guys ready to be able to be a valuable competitor, for somebody, somebody that's actually like, giving them feedback or understands what they're doing, where they're going. And that's where like, the Mike Russo, and that his integration, with where he's going of, they've got that correspondence. They understand what they're doing. They're making everything better. They're allowing him to be a better shooter. He's making them a better company or having a better product or having a better information about a product line they might not have, because so many times where I don't be developed in a vacuum and that's all it ever does until it hits the market, and then you start finding all these little things like, oh man, I wish that was different than that thing, but when somebody has already had that gun for 6 months and they've put 20,000 rounds to it and won 2 matches and lost 2 matches, they understand what that was. And then also what are they doing on their social media? What are they doing to spread that word? What kind of person are they? Like you'll see, a lot of times when it comes sort of like that guy's a brand ambassador, and they need to be prepared for that. Of like, okay, when you put that name on you and you say you're a sponsored shooter, that means you're flying that flag for them. Mm-hmm. So you've got to be an approachable person that's willing to talk about your thing. And if you have a shitty stage, hey, you know what? Put that smile on because that guy's a customer. And that's an important part of that maturity level, because you can see, man, I know a lot of great shooters that I don't want to be around, because, if they've got a bad day or came off a bad stage or, just something that's going, they're not going to win this match. They thought they had it all wrapped up, and I've seen myself do it where it's like, man, I thought I was going to do great. And I came in third, like, man, I'm not feeling super great about it, but you got that guy in front of you that wants to talk about that gun. It's time to talk about that gun, because that landed in your hands for a reason.
Yeah. And that's what we we've really been striving to do. So the other thing that we did, which again I did terribly, working on doing it better for 24, was the Manufacturers Cup. So we had all these shooters coming to all these matches, and we had who's going to be the champion shooter. So it seemed very easy. It turned out to be a little bit harder. But that's lessons that we learned. It seemed very easy to just ask people what they were shooting and then assign a point value to that based off of where they finished in the match. So for this year, basically, and that's what I did. I sent out surveys, and every match before I let you squad, you're supposed to fill out the survey and tell me what you're shooting and all that sort of stuff. And it was a pretty solid race. There's some tuning that we're doing on the Manufacturers Cup, but basically every match, if you're in the top 10, the stuff that if you were told me what you were shooting, because I can't read minds, if you told me what you were shooting, it got points. And between Jack shooting fairly well a few times and me shooting a whole bunch, and then we had a couple of really good matches down in Florida. We got a lot of nice armament shooters in Florida, and we had a nice armament gun shooting at every match, at least one, sometimes two or three. But then we talked to Mike at Sons of Liberty in February, and Mike was like, "I'm in." So I started telling about the Manufacturers Cup. And then, so as that got rolling, because he said he was in, but he really didn't know what that looked like. So once he started seeing what was going on and how the points were going in, so probably about July, Mike came in hard and started reaching out shooters and getting guns out there and all that sort of stuff. And they came in hard with 6 max. Knights only was 6 points.
You did the math, bro. I don't know. You told me
6 or 7 points. It boiled down to if one more Sons of Liberty shooter would have showed up to one more match, one more Sons of Liberty gun, and did moderately well, then Sons of Liberty would have took it. And that was all in between, like, we'll say July and October when they made up all those points, because Arrow was doing super good because in the first part of it, and Arrow was only getting not a lot of factory guns. So if you shot a factory gun and you got first place, you got 10 points. If you got 10th place, you got 1 point. If you didn't have a factory gun, the points went to whoever the roll stamp was in the lower, because I could confirm that.
Yeah. And
who made your barrel. So your barrel manufacturer get 5 points, and if you won, and your lower get 5 points. And Arrow was walking away. Like Arrow, the dude,
interesting.
There was just dudes that were shooting arrows in every match and doing fairly well, and Arrow was making points at every match.
It was mainly like large frame or small frame?
It was mainly small frame stuff.
Oh, really?
Just a lot of dudes are shooting Arrow, and I know Arrow does a lot of stuff, but I didn't think about how much dudes are shooting their stuff, and shooting well, right? So Arrow was like about that time, Arrow was leading it. And I probably showed that to Lloyd, and Lloyd showed that to Mike, and Mike got super motivated.
He's like, fuck this.
Yeah, right? But through that Manufacturers Cup, now I can get manufacturers involved. I can get everybody involved, and they're like, hey, rather than me calling them up going, hey, you should support this Quantified Performance thing. It's pretty cool. We're doing a pretty good job. Trust me, right? They're calling me and they're going, hey, what's up with this Manufacturers Cup? I'll be like, hey, this is what it is. And they're like, how do I get into it? I'm like, well, find some dudes that are shooting your guns and get into a match. And if you know some dudes that are shooting a match already, put them on your guns.
Yeah.
Then it's all in the money. Either you pay your dude to come to this match and shoot it with your gun and hope he does well, or you find this dude that's already shooting the match and already doing well and you put him on your gun.
And answer the survey.
And answer the damn survey. Answer the survey. So we're making a little bit of changes on that, just to clean that up a little bit, because it's a championship, and it's numbers, right? This is who's there. Put numbers in, put it into Excel, push the button, the poops out an answer. Sounded that easy.
Crunch the numbers again.
Yeah, not that easy.
What
right?
movie's that from?
That's The Office.
Yeah.
So, we're cleaning that up a little bit, and basically what it's going to do is it's still going to be based off of your position. But if you're in the championship, then that's going to get the points. Just because I can ask you one time, what gun are you shooting? and you go, I'm shooting a Sons of Liberty gun, and odds are high you're going to be shooting that Sons of Liberty gun the whole time. And I can look at pictures of you shooting the match that invariably pop up. And if I see you shooting something else, I go, hey, Doug, what were you shooting last match? Oh, I was shooting this gun. And like, okay, and then I can change the points. But rather than just having everybody that shows up and just dudes that I have one email address for them, and that's the one they use for practice score, and it's a spam email that we don't ever check.
Yeah.
Then we can have better track of who's doing what. Because there was probably, I would say that there was 3 gun companies that could have been in the running that I know guys were shooting, but they didn't fill out the survey, and they didn't get any points. I know there was a whole bunch of proof barrels on the range.
Oh, yeah.
And dudes were not putting that they were shooting their proof barrels. I know it. I can go look at all the pictures, and I can see what's there, and I can look at that match and see what kind of points I signed for that match. And it's not there, right? Knights Armament had a bunch of dudes that you looking through pictures, and there was Knights Armament stuff and dudes on the Knights Armament owners page, and I know he was shooting his stuff, but he didn't fill out the survey. Can't give it any points, right? But
I mean, I think we're talking a lot about kind of like some details inside of that of like the execution, but I think if you're on the fence of whether you want to come and shoot this match or not, or if you want to see what this is. So one, there's a bunch of good references on YouTube. If you want to see what this match actually shoots like, go on YouTube, literally type in Quantified Performance. A whole bunch of them are going to come up. Weapon Snatcher just put out a good video of the finale, which will give you a really good overview of like from the scope view as well as from the shooter view of the things you need to do. It's a minimal amount of gear that you need to have to go into it. Like a type of positional bag, a rifle that works, and a decent optic, depending on which division you're in. And you don't have to have a ZCO to be competitive in this. It helps because they're awesome optics, and that's why people buy those. But find a division that you like. Get something you want. So if you want to shoot a 20-inch gun that's got a medium-powered optic that looks like your SAS or whatever, that's awesome. You got a division for that. You want to shoot a 14.5 gun they had in your closet, back behind your side-by-side, awesome. That'll work too. There's places for this for all that. And the biggest thing really is shooting your gun, zeroing your gun, getting out to distance, and figuring out wind. And then it's a drag race, of getting out on those targets. Fairly generous targets. They're not all. Some of them are a little bit small, some are a little technical. But it is a ton of fun. We're so passionate about talking the details on this because we are also competitors in this. When we saw Gas Gun go away in 2018, we weren't like, oh great, we're never going to do that again. It was we need to figure out how to do this again because I want to shoot this.
Yeah.
It was having a good time, and obviously good equipment, you're going to have a better time. Right? It's always more fun to hit targets, and I miss a lot of targets. Trust me, it's more fun to hit targets. Right? But you don't need super specific equipment, and it's about getting out there and having a good time. Gun things are gun friends. That's what I put on my thing. But going out there, linking up with everybody, eating some food, drinking some booze, shooting some guns, doing some stuff, getting some prizes. It's all it's what we talk about that we're doing on the internet.
Yeah.
But we're really doing it at the match.
A great experience from people. If you don't know what's going on, that we have a huge amount of resource of people that not only will shoot but will help you learn more about it. And there's probably in your area. We've got a Facebook page. Jump in, ask a question. Go on. Hit us up. There's a website there. We've got resources. We've got a new website coming up that gives all kinds of shooters information that
should we drop that? Should we give that to Ike? You want a semi-exclusive?
Yeah.
All right. So. We did a thing. Did a thing. It was great.
Not that kind of thing.
Oh. Wednesday, and this is already soft launch, so I don't know when you guys will put this up, how much editing you're going to do to it or whatever. But this is already soft launch.
It's live. We're actually going out right now.
Awesome. Hey, what's up? ShootingContentHub.com. I learned about these things and talked to Jack about it, and it was something that I wanted to have for the shooting community. Content Hub, one-stop shop for content on that subject, right? That's just what it is, and the marketing people that are out there that are watching this probably get super detailed into it. But we decided to do one for shooting. So we've been throwing up the stuff that we have access to. There's a bunch of Quantified Performance stuff on there. But basically, once or twice a day, just depending on how it's going to go out, you can go to shootingcontenthub.com and see what something that's cool. For the nerd stuff, SEO and all that sort of stuff, search engine optimization and Google and where you rank and all that sort of stuff. Quantified is a little bit too niche to be talking about that. And you guys have been chasing on social media just different ways to get without getting zucked and all that sort of stuff, and to get people coming to you Big Tex. And we know that with our industry right now, with the way that the country is, that's super hard. But basically what that is, with the Content Hub, is basically what we're trying to capture is anybody that's wanting to learn how to shoot a gun better, shoot a gun competitively. We can do reviews. We can do pretty much anything if it is shooting content related, right? If you're going to get a ding on Facebook, I want that content, and we're going to put it there. And we did this stuff right, and we had a company called Black Panda Creative that did the website for us. It's designed to capture that SEO, and it's designed to have that sort of stuff, and it's also designed to be super fast and fun to get there. It's just nice. It's all broke down. When you hit it, it's pretty simple. Go down to the bottom of the page where you're looking about rifles, and it all tags in the rifles, and you click that and you go learn about rifles and pistols, and as we get archery stuff in there, and as we get all the sort of stuff. And Quantified Performance is the biggest sponsor of it, but it's not a Quantified Performance, come to a Quantified Performance match page, right? That's what quantifiedperformance.com is for.
Gotcha.
Over here. That's come and shoot Quantified Performance. But what this one is, hey, I was out shooting my Knight's Armament CQB with my mod light that I got from Big Tex Outdoors, and all those are tags for those things. And I'm going to go shoot a Quantified Performance match, and that's what the content is. And here's what I learned. Here's why zero is important. Here's why whatever is important. Here's why I chose this ammunition. Here's why all these things. And it's going to be right there as you get there.
So there's stuff there now. It's going to keep growing. I mean, we've got between the things that we've authored over the past. I mean, we've got years worth of stuff to go back through. So we're throwing it on as we can. A lot. Ash has been putting a lot of time and work into it. So he is a driving force behind it, and just a couple things I wrote that have kind of fallen its way in. But more's coming in. We want more from people out there that want people to learn from them.
Yeah, and it's going to be, because forums are dead. Right? Forums are great.
Yeah. But
forums are, I don't, and they might not be dead for the world, but they're dead to me.
Yeah.
The thought of, I go into M4 Carbine every once in a while. Nothing bad about M4 Carbine. M4 Carbine, in its day, was a valuable resource.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And it was, if you're on BARFCOM, yes, that's on purpose. If you're on BARFCOM, if you're on M4 Carbine, that's where you were in the world.
Yeah.
Right? That's how I judged you.
Yeah.
Right? And so, but it's just not, I'm just not going there anymore.
Yeah.
And people aren't going there to get information. And there's so much on those forums. It's so hard to get through and search through and all that sort of stuff. Still great content there, all that sort of stuff.
Wealth of knowledge on there.
Obviously, social media, for anything that we're trying to do, is it's not dead, but it's on life support. The only reason that we're still doing things on Facebook is because we know that the people that are spending money with us are on Facebook.
Yeah.
Right. That's that. If we could wake up tomorrow and just be like, hey, you know what? Everybody that's our friends in our circle just got kicked off Facebook. If I hadn't been kicked off, I'm deleting it right there. I'm just not going back. Instagram is almost a dead. I mean, it's worthless to us.
Yeah.
It's more pain in the ass because we're always dealing with getting flags and all that sort of stuff. But with all the forums and all the great data that's out there in the forums, with this Content Hub, if you happen to be on the forum for whatever reason and you see something that's super cool, drop us a link. We got more ways to send us a link to something on the page than we have for you to comment on it.
Oh, nice.
Right? So now you see that. Now you send it to us. Now I take it and I dump it on the Content Hub. You're not having to go scroll through that forum. You're just going to the Content Hub to pick up that good thing that's on M4 Carbine, or maybe that one random thing that's good on ARCOM. So Jack likes ARCOM, so it's the exact opposite. So,
it's a necessary evil.
Yeah, no, but that's what this content hub is the purpose for it. Is it just to have it sitting there, and eventually after, if we're doing 2 or 3 posts a year, and we have 600 or 700 links on there to things eventually, and then we'll be sorting it, and we'll be trying to keep all that stuff relevant. But I think that it came out really good. We'll have to see how people use it as a resource, and we're just going to keep hammering stuff on there. And then you guys are super close to this, and I know Chris is working this. You guys, basically who the advertisers are on who the championship sponsors are for Quantified Performance is the advertisers on Shooting Content Hub for this year. I didn't have a monetary value on it. You'd be fully supported on it right now, and you'd be like, how much do you want? I don't know, right? So we've got Victor Industries.
Oh, yeah.
Then we've got Night Force Optics, got Vortex Optics, IWI. Those are our championship sponsors so far, and it is SHOT Show. So that there's going to be more that come on there. They're going to be the advertisers that are on Shooting Content Hub for the year. And then next year we'll be doing other things. So we're just trying to build that up. So when you guys see this, it would be super cool if you see something that's really nice that you want to read and look at, and good jobs, whatever. I just want you to go to it so I can start getting numbers up, so we can start seeing what we're doing. Just go visit, go hang out, and then that's just kind of what we got going. Like I say, Quantified's the big pusher on that, and we're just trying to use some spots that we're at to make it better for everybody, because the people talk about that, raising ties raises all ships, or whatever that cool little statement is, right? But then they're not pouring one bucket of water into it. They're wanting to ride with your bucket. So there's some things that we're doing that, yes, a raising tide raises all the ships, and we're doing what we can from where we're sitting at. We didn't talk about it in the other one, a nice arm, but I'm super grateful about where I'm sitting at right now at this minute. There's been a bunch of things that's happened, since 2001 that have put me into this chair here with you guys, and I'm grateful for that. And we're in a position where we can. It's not giving back. It's doing the bucket, right? It's throwing it back out there. Here's these opportunities, and that's really what we're trying to do. Here's these opportunities to grab yourself up and pull yourself up a rung on the ladder, and that just what we're trying to do anyway.
And I think the shoot far, shoot fast matches. It's like a lot of times people say like, oh, it's a quantified match. Well, it's one specific type of match we run because it fits with where we need it to go. So the shoot far, shoot fast matches, which is our gas gun drag races. Those skill sets are universal rifleman stuff. Like if you want to consider yourself like a shooter, like a rifleman, and like a good American, that can stand up and do your job, that is proven there. That will be learned there. You will find your deficiencies and faults. You will find where you are good and where you can, cruise for a little bit. It is the most direct application of how to use a rifle at beyond pistol distances, which was super popular and super cool for a long time, but is grossly overlooked what you get out of that gun. Mm-hmm. And it will change you. I mean, the level of competition that we are seeing now is significantly different than in the beginning, where somebody that had any experience in PRS was going to win straight up, because he knew how to call wind, he knew how to get stable, he knew these requirements of shooting that type of match. And now, with the breadth of skills that are required, everybody is moving up, and everybody there wants you to be better. Everybody there is willing to talk to you and walk you through whatever it is you need to know to be able to safely and successfully execute that task that's required. And that's the part of it that I am really mostly individually about of what that does for the people that. When you have Facebook limiting what you can talk about, and when you have criticism from everybody in the outside community of what you can or cannot say, and you have to act like you're ashamed of having these skills, or why would you want to have those skills? Nah, fuck that. Yeah, I want you to have it. And that's 80% of that push of why that's important to me.
So like Jack came from training shooters in a combat and doing that sort of thing. That's where I came from. But and combat's cool, right? If you're training for that sort
Not
of
really.
stuff,
It's
cool.
pretty terrible, really.
It depends on if you're winning or losing.
Yes.
But
it's all just so horribly dangerous.
But getting out, shooting your gun, finding the capabilities of it, then that's what we want people to be doing, right? And it's I don't like safe queens. People talk about they do these flex pages, right? And it's super cool. And my gun collection is not something that flexes with, right? But if I walk upstairs when I'm at work, one set of stairs, I'm at the Institute of Military Technology, right? Which I haven't seen anybody on Facebook that's flexing on Mr. Knight, right? And
the King of England said he was not impressed.
Yeah. So that's not where I'm at. And it's cool buying quality equipment, and I'm an elitist and I'm a gun snob and all that sort of stuff. But man, I judge you off your practice score. I just got to that point, and people can be mad at me, and they can be like, "Fuck you, Ash," whatever. I did on my side. That's cool, man. If you're not out and you're not using your gun, and a practice score is the easiest way to do that. Or you're out shooting matches, right? And I don't know if you own a ranch and you're out blasting shit. It's super cool. But that's just that's how I know you're out using your gun. And that's what I want. It's cool owning it, but using it is the flex.
Yeah.
Right? That's where it's at. And that's another side of Quantified Performance, because I would sit in front of everybody and I'd be like, I had 800 shooters last year on a estimated, with practice and everything, probably shoot 5 million rounds, and I can tell you where every one of those rounds went. And they were all modern sporting rifles, and I say that without trying to vomit in my mouth, but they were all the guns that are bad, and we can tell you where all those guns were used. We can tell you how many rounds were fired, how many people fired those guns. We can do all those things to make arguments against all these retards that are saying things that aren't true, right? Because we can show it, right? And common usage and sporting purposes, you have to be using them commonly, and you have to be using them in a sporting thing, right? And half the states you can't hunt like with ARs unless you're doing hog hunting or whatever. So in sporting use, we built the sport, right? And we're just, like I say, we're trying to, all the excuses, all the things, we're just trying to have a spot to come and do that. So that's quantified in more than probably anybody ever wanted to know. Come out and shoot a match. The schedule's up on quantifiedperformance.com. It's there. It's pretty now as of today. Super easy to get to. And there's probably something, if you're in the southeast or now getting into the west, there's probably something close to you. We want to get closer. So if you have a good range, then hit us up. We'll get something going.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is it will make you better. Wherever you are, if you come and compete and you put yourself to that test, like, you will become a better shooter out of it. If you're happy not being a great shooter, that's fine, but there's some. It's cool to see people grow.
It is. That's one of the best parts about it.
Well, guys, thank you so much for coming up, talking with us about all this. It's been very, very insightful.
Yep. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's probably about 40 minutes to edit out there when you, but it's fine.
Yeah, you're fine. Everything will be fine.
Well, anyways, go check out Jack and Ash.
Gotcha.
Quantified Performance. Check them out. Sign up for a match. I'm going to make it out to one finally. I've been talking about it for years.
Awesome.
Past couple of years, and just never happens. But this year, I'm going to make it happen. At least one.
Yeah.
San Antonio for sure. Once Lloyd gets that set up, and then hopefully a couple more.
Yeah.
Hopefully the finale too. I'd like to come out and see
That'd be rad.
Compete in that. But
yeah.
Well, anyways, go sign up for a match. I'll see you out there, I'm sure. And thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And you haven't done a sign off in a while.
Shoot far, shoot fast.
There you go.
Yeah.
I like you.
Well done.
Thank y'all for watching.